I actually remember the moment when I realized or I started not trusting people. I was in college. I was at Ohio State University, and we were sitting, just a bunch of guys in a room playing video games. We were playing NCAA football. I don't play any other game. I've never played any other game. NCAA football was the game that I played. That's the only thing that I knew how to do. I never had a system. Actually, as a matter of fact, I had a system. It was a Sega Genesis, and I rarely played it. I even have an original Nintendo that I've never hooked up, never played in my life. Original Nintendo, like nothing. So now playing this game, we're sitting, well, y'all trying to say I'm old or something? What's good? So anyways, like I'm saying, we're sitting in the room, right? And we're playing, just a whole bunch of guys, right? And we're playing this game, and then we just start talking. And you know how guys are. We just talk about a whole bunch of nonsense, right? Then the conversation leads to these two particular girls that live right above them. Now, I didn't live there. I just came to play the game. I wasn't necessarily talking, but I was laughing. I was instigating. I was having fun. So everybody was talking. Specifically, one guy was just talking a lot. Two girls upstairs. One of the girls, man, they said all kinds of good things about her. Man, she's this and that. She got a body, blah, 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 whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. And then, once we finished that conversation, then we start talking about her roommate. And nothing good came out of that conversation. Just completely disrespected her. Like, it was so bad. The things that they were saying, I can't even repeat it, even if I wasn't standing up here. It was that bad. But there I am, just laughing, just soaking it all up. The conversation finishes, and we're just chilling, and one of the guys just gets up. All right, man, I'm gonna see y'all later. Daps all of us up, and he walks out. We're thinking he's going to work, he's gonna get something to eat or something like that. 10 minutes, I wanna say 10 to 15 minutes later, we hear walking down the stairs, bust in the door, and this girl just starts finishing all of us. She starts cussing everybody out. She goes to the guy I was telling you about, puts her hand on his face, starts slapping him, start cussing him, and all he could do was kind of just like, hey, get off me, just shove her, just, hey, come on, like, chill. But she was going off on him, and everybody was completely baffled, like, what just happened? What just happened? And she, in doing all of this, she mentions the guy's name. Says, so-and-so said that you do blah, 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 blah. And we just had this conversation. How is it that you just heard? She finishes and she leaves. She storms out, and we're sitting there like, man, we're going to kill him. So he comes back a little bit later. He just walks in like, hey, what's up, fellas? What up, fellas? And the dude asked him, like, listen, where were you at? Where'd you go? Oh, man, I just went around the corner to get something to eat. Oh, but so-and-so just came downstairs and said that you told her this, and this. What? Nah, man, I didn't say nothing like that. I don't know what came over me. I have no idea what came over me, but I was boiling on the inside. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything to him or like in that conversation when we're talking about the girls, but I felt like I was betrayed. So out of nowhere, he was in the middle of a sentence, because I'm thinking football, like I'm a football player. So what I did was, man, I got off of my seat and just yoked him up, boom, and put him on the wall. Now this guy is the same height, the same build, the same strength as me. I'm so mad I have him on the wall and I have my hand on his neck. I'm furious. The devil got me that day. So I'm upset and I'm like, yo, I'm saying all kinds of things to him. at this point. And everybody's like, chill, move, chill, dog, chill, get off him, chill. I let him go, and he leaves. You know, all of us say what we need to say to him, and he leaves. It was from that moment we understood, man, we could not say anything around this guy ever again. And it was from that moment I started realizing that I had trust issues. But the Bible says, do not trust in man. Do not trust in man, but trust in God. Because God is not a man that he should lie. But this verse says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Now, this verse is saying something. Trust him entirely with everything. In order to acquire wisdom to navigate through life, you need to trust in God. In order to acquire wisdom from the throne of heaven to help you in your daily situations, you need to trust him entirely. Now, the word trust means to lay down upon. In essence, to put your complete weight on. Much like what you guys are doing right now. You have your complete weight on these chairs. You have complete trust in the ability of this chair to hold you up, that you're sitting any type of way you want to. We have Genesis over here with her feet up. I'm sorry, go ahead. No, you good. Because she has complete confidence in the ability of this chair to sustain her weight. She has complete trust in the chair. Now, I'm assuming she does because I see it. I'm looking at her. I'm looking at you guys. You guys you don't have any type of worry or fear that, man, I may end up on the floor. I may end up somehow, this chair may not be able to sustain me for the duration of this service. You're completely calm and you're sitting there with all your entire weight on the chair. None of you guys are, in essence, trying to help the chair out. Oh, I'm not sure if this chair is able to hold me up, so let me help it out a little bit. Let me put a little bit of me in there and hover over the seat, kind of like we hover over toilet seats in public restrooms. Okay, we can talk about that later. Talk about that later. But you don't have yourself in it. Much like God and our relationship with God, God is saying, I'm able to sustain you. I'm able to take care of you. Trust me. Put all your weight on me. Cast your burdens on me. I'm able to sustain you. But a lot of us, we want a little bit of ourselves in there. A little bit of our own understanding in there. Because we feel like we know what's best for us. We understand what's best for us. So we want to put ourselves in there. And God's saying, I don't need your help to take care of you. Now, trusting in the ability of the chair to hold you up wouldn't mean much if the chair could not hold you up. It wouldn't mean anything. So trust is an all or nothing thing. Either trust or you don't trust. Either trust in God or you don't trust at all. You either sit down on the chair or you don't sit down on the chair. But you don't help the chair sustain your weight. You see, when it comes through the cares of life and navigating through life, most of us start with ourselves and then work our way back to God. In navigating life, we start with ourselves first. We lean on our own understanding, what we can wrap our minds around, we go to different things first, and then when those things don't work, we kind of work our way back to God. For example, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to this girl, and she had a headache. She had a headache, and she was like, "Man, I don't know if I can do anything today. I just wanna rest, you know." This girl's probably gonna fire me up later because she's in here, so she's probably gonna kill me later, but it's all good. Testimony, it's all good. So she's like, "Man, I don't think I'll do anything today. I can't go out today, can't do work or anything. I'm just gonna rest." The next day I talked to her, "Man, this headache is still there." And I asked, "Man, did you pray?" She said, "Oh no, not yet." You see, she tried everything first. I'm assuming that she tried maybe some medicine, maybe, other things, but I know for a fact she tried rest. She tried to just kind of lay down and hope that this thing would disappear. She tried that first before going to God. There would be a lot less pain in life if we would start with God. The proof that we don't trust in God, even though we say that we trust in God, the proof that we do not rely on God, even though we say we believe in God, is that we go to other sources first before we ask God for his help. The fact of the matter is, where you go first is where your trust is. Where you go first is where your trust is. A lot of us in certain situations, the first thing we do, we can't handle a certain situation, the first thing we do is pick up the phone call and call our friends. Pick up the phone call and call somebody that you can talk to. Call somebody that will give you some type of advice. It could be your close friend, it could be a leader, it could be your pastor, it could be anybody. But the first thing you do is go there. If you're sick, the first thing you do is look for some pills. First thing you do is go to a doctor or something. Man, this is so bad. You go to the ER. You go to mom, my head hurts. Where you go first is where you put your trust in. I was reading a post the other day on Facebook. I wish I had my phone. I screenshotted it because it was perfect. It was perfect. It's like this individual, this girl, she was like talking. She was going through a certain situation, obviously, and she was trying to reach her friends, but nobody's picking up the phone. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Nobody's picking up the phone. And she said, "Man, God is doing something really cute, like by, not allowing people to pick up their phone because he knows I should be talking to him first." It's like she completely let go on Facebook, and she realizes what she was doing. She needed to go to God first, but she was trying to reach other things, other sources before God. Where do you put your trust in? Where do you go first? Man, the reason why we should trust in God is because, man, he is God. He's God. He's the Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He's the creator of the universe. He's the creator of your soul. He's the creator of you. He made you in his own image. He loves you so much that he gave himself. He got beaten and destroyed for you. He has a plan and a purpose for you. And also, his wisdom is infinite. His wisdom is infinite. He cannot be boxed in. He's limitless. He has no limit. There's no limit to his power. There's no limit to his wisdom. You can't limit God. His wisdom is infinite, and we need to trust in him. Kind of like this. So there's this baby here at church, and this baby was running around, with his shoes untied, right? I see the baby, I'm like, hey, come here, baby, let me help you tie your shoes, man. So he's like, no, and he's just running around doing whatever he wants to do. I'm like, no, stop, like, you're going to trip, you're going to hurt yourself. Come here, let me help you tie your shoes. I get to him, I try to help him, he's like, no, and he pulls up his leg away, and he does something with his shoes to make it look like he tied it, but no, like, he just kind of boop, 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 and just kept running around. I kid you not, 3 minutes later, this guy steps on one of his shoelaces, trips, and face plants into the wall. Like, and it was bad too. You know how you like face plant and you do this little curve thing? Like the side, yeah, it was really, really bad. Like, face plants the wall. Boom! I was like, ugh. And as soon as it happened, like, he turns and looks towards me. And like, when a baby hurts themselves, they look to somebody for approval. Like, I just hurt myself. Should I cry here? Like, what should I do? This hurts. Should I? Yeah, okay, I'll cry. So he face plants and he looks towards me, and I'm just like, you good? Like, what's up? What happened? So when that happens, like, he gets up, he starts rubbing his face, and he's like, and he walks over to me and puts his foot in front of me. And I'm like, oh, so now you want my help. Oh, now I'm wise. Oh, now I look strategic in what I'm trying to do. Much like God. Much like us. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, man, guys. Much like us. God is looking at us running around in life, just doing whatever it is that we want to do. And God looks at us like, no, come here, let me help you. And we're like, no, we got it. I got it. I can do this myself. And when we trip and we fall, we face plant. Now we want to look to God and come back to him like, God, fix it. Help me. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Like, he's God, man. Like, his ways are not our ways, his thoughts not our thoughts. We can't begin to fathom the wisdom of God. We can't begin to understand it. Let God be true and every man be a liar. If man is not saying what God is saying, then man is wrong and God is true. But what's happening here is that we're saying that people are true and God's a liar. We're not saying that explicitly, but we're not trusting in him. What Proverbs 3:5 is saying here is to trust in God with all your heart. Now, what is your heart? What is your heart? What's made up? What it's saying here is that with your inner being, innermost being, trust God. Your knowledge, your intellect, your decision making, your will, your emotions, which is your feelings. So your knowledge, your intellect, your decision making, will, your emotions, your feelings. Trust God with all of these things. Give it all to God, all of these things. How do I know that I'm trusting in God? You're not leaning on your own understanding. Now, human understanding has been flawed. Human understanding has been flawed by two things. Sin has flawed our understanding. When sin entered the world, when Adam fell, disobeyed God, and sin entered the world, sin now infiltrated us and now has compromised us. We no longer will always think the things of God. We no longer will always do the will of God, and will not always feel the things of God. Now, because of sin, we have sinful thoughts. Because of sin, we now sometimes want to do good with our will, sometimes want to do evil with our will. Because of sin now, we feel hatred, we feel anger, we feel pride, we feel lust for other things and people. So sin has now compromised our understanding. Another thing that has compromised our understanding is our finiteness. God is infinite, and we are finite beings. We have limits, and God is limitless in his power, in his wisdom, in his being. But we are limited people. There's things that we just won't understand. There's things that we just can't comprehend. There's decisions that we just can't make because of our limits. Now, because of sin, with sin and our limits, every decision that we make is questionable unless governed under the standards of God. Philippians 3:3, put no confidence in the flesh. Put no confidence in your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge. Now, acknowledge here. What does acknowledge mean? Acknowledge does not mean just kind of recognizing God. Acknowledgement is not like, hey, like when you go home, you kind of recognize your parent. Hey, mom, dad, how you doing? Or you go to church and you just recognize your aunties or your uncles or whatever the case may be. Hey, just recognize their presence. No, acknowledgement here means doing everything in your power to please God. Doing everything in your power to please him. And the Bible says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. So in order to please God, we must have faith. In order to acknowledge him, we must have faith. We must trust in him. So in all your ways, have faith in him. In all your ways, please him, and he will direct your path. But it seems like sometimes, man, like we just tend to kind of forget what God has done for us. We forget all the things God has done for us, and we get to a certain situation and we just want to apply our own knowledge to it. Although God has pulled us out of this type of thing before. God has healed your body before. But now that you're sick, do you just forget that what he's done in the past? Because surely he can do it again. God has healed your body before. God has healed your heart before. God has restored your mind before. God has fixed a certain situation in your family before. God has fixed you financially before. God has done all these things for you before. What's different now? Because surely he can do it again. Turn with me to Mark chapter 8. Mark chapter 8, we're going to start at verse 1. Now, Jesus Christ has been doing all these things, performing all these miracles. He's healing the sick. He's raised the dead. He's cast out demons. He's manipulated and orchestrated and just controlled nature. He's forgiven sins. He's done all these things. He's fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. He's done all these miraculous things. He's going around preaching the kingdom of God. He's revealing these things to his disciples. Now let's look at chapter 8, starting at verse 1. In those days, when again a great crowd had gathered, and they had nothing to eat, he called his disciples to him and said to them, I have compassion on the crowd, because they have been with me now 3 days and having nothing to eat. And if I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint on the way. And some of them have come from far away. And his disciples answered him, how can one feed these people with bread here in a desolate place? And he asked them, how many loaves do you have? They said, 7. And he directed the crowd to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves, and having given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples to set before the people. And they set them before the crowd, and they had a few small fish. And having blessed them, he said that these also should be set before them. And they ate and were satisfied. And they took up the broken pieces left over, 7 baskets full. And there was about 4,000 people. And he sent them away, and immediately he got into the boat with his disciples and went to the district of Dalmanutha. This portion of scripture looks so very familiar. This situation looks so very familiar. It looks as though, now we see in the other portion of chapters before, we see that Jesus Christ has fed 5,000 people. He's fed 5,000 people with nothing but 5 loaves and 2 fish. Now, this is a completely different situation here. In this situation, if we cross-reference it with Matthew, we see that these people have been following him for days. In the other situation, they came and found him there in a desolate place. They ran to him. But in this situation, they had been following him. And he says, man, I can't send these people back because some of them have even come from further than 3 days that we've been walking. And if I send them back, they'll faint. They won't make it back. And his disciples do something here that just kind of blows my mind. Like, they ask a faithless question. How are we going to feed these people? But wait a minute. These are people that have been with Christ the whole time. These are people that have experienced his power. These are people that have given him, these are people that have seen him cast out demons, heal sick, and do all these amazing things. Walk on water, calm the storm, all these things. Matter of fact, Jesus had given them power to go out and perform miracles. Jesus had given them power. So they go out, they perform all these miracles, healing people with oil and all these things, and come back and testify about it. And yet here they ask a faithless question. How are we going to feed these people in a desolate place? But man, he did it before. What I would have liked, man, what could have been great was if the disciples in this situation, just imagining here, if they would have just realized, man, in this situation, man, we've seen this before. God has done this before. This is not something new. It would have been cool if they would have just brought the bread to him, like, hey, can you just do this again like you've done before? But like us, we forget. Why do we forget the mercies that God gives us each and every day, because they are new every single day. Why is it that we cannot trust in God to do what he has done before? If the I'm about to round up here, and if the praise and worship could come up. Now, I played this game with the youth, right? You know that trust game where you just fall backwards into somebody's hands? Okay, trust fall, that's what it's called, right? So there's this trust fall that I was playing with the youth. I was trying to illustrate something. It was a while ago. I was trying to illustrate something with this trust fall. Now, a lot of them were doing it. They would stand and, they would fall back and have somebody catch them. But I noticed that, and every time they tried to fall back, they would either put their legs back to kind of help them cushion, or try to put their legs back or something like that, because they didn't really fully trust the person catching them. So this happened a lot, and then I called on one of them. His name is Timothy, Brian's brother, and he comes up and, he stands, and I'm like, okay, Tim, come on, fall back. And Tim gives it all. Like, he just gives it all. Like, he doesn't put his hand back, he doesn't put his leg back, he just, and and I was trying to illustrate something here, right? So he gives it all, and I let him fall. Like, I stepped back like that, and I let him fall all the way down, but I caught his head, because I don't want him to hit his head on the ground. So I'm like, okay, Tim, no, come on, for real, get up, let's do it again, for real, this time. He gives it all again. Once again, I catch his head. All right, Tim, come on, let's do it again, come on. Gives it all again. Catch his head one more time. And after the third time, I'm thinking, like, you would think that he would start making provisions for himself. Like, you would think he would start, probably try to catch himself or something like that. No. Fourth time, gave it all. Fifth time, gave it all. And I said to him, I was like, Tim, why? Tim, why you keep trusting? Like, why you just keep falling, like, giving it all? And he goes, well, I know you're trying to illustrate something, and I trust in what you're doing. He's like, man, I know you're trying to teach me something. I know you're trying to teach us something, so I know you're letting me fall for a reason. Man, like, I almost cried. Like, for real, like, it was, I was like, man, you get it. How many of us would trust God like that? How many of us in this place can trust God like that? No matter what happens in life, fall, get back up, like, however many times he does it, but you're saying, man, God, I still trust in you. Like Job, though he slays me, I still trust in you. God is trying to teach me something, or trying to put me through something, or trying to teach somebody else something, trying to deliver somebody else, or draw somebody else to Christ, or teach you something in that moment, in that season, whatever the case may be. But still trusting in God, though I keep falling, because I know he has a plan. God says, I have a plan for you, like plans of good, not of evil, like plans to prosper you for a future. How many of us can trust God like that, man? If we can rise. man. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. If we fear God, we trust God, we give it all to God. We can acquire wisdom to help us maneuver and make our way through life situations. Trusting in God with all your heart, with all your intellect, with all your will, and with all your feelings. And giving it completely to God. Because he's able. Putting your complete weight on him. In all your ways, acknowledging Christ. Pleasing him with your faith. Because faith and trust, they're married. You can't say, I have faith in God, but you don't trust him. You can't say, I trust God, but not have any faith in him. So I urge you today, I ask you today, where is it that you go first? Do you go to your friends first? Do you go to your parents? What do you go to other sources before you actually recognize God? Before you work your way back to the Savior? I want you to search your heart, search your mind, and just give it all up to God. Just lay it down on his humble throne of grace, because he's able. There's nothing too big for God. Nothing too big for God.